Have you ever stopped to think about why most men who betray should not be forgiven? Many people try to make this subject lighter, saying that everyone makes mistakes, that everyone deserves another chance. But the truth is hard. Betrayal is not an innocent slip. It is a choice made on purpose. And that is exactly why 99% of men who betray do not deserve forgiveness. Imagine the picture, a relationship built over many years with trust, closeness, and dreams for the future. All of this ruined in just one night with just one decision. When a man chooses to cheat, he is not simply giving in to a passing temptation. He is disrespecting the woman at his side, throwing away the trust she placed in him, tearing apart the meaning of the bond they built together. And the worst of all, most men who betray know very well what they are doing, but decide to do it anyway. Throughout this video, you will see that cheating is not just about sex. It is not just about a short adventure. It is about control, about an ego that is too big, about not knowing how to deal with problems in a grown-up way. It is about wanting to prove to yourself that you can still win someone over, even when you already have a faithful partner at home. And that says a lot about the character of those who cheat. Another important detail: betrayal is almost always thought out. Different from what many people think, it rarely happens suddenly. The man exchanges secret messages, erases conversations, invents excuses, creates fake meetings, lies to get free time. This is not by chance. It is a plan, and someone who can create a whole net of lies to fool his partner shows clearly that he does not care about the emotional pain she will go through when she discovers the truth. And here is something cruel. The pain of betrayal does not end at the moment it is revealed. It keeps echoing. The woman begins to doubt herself, question her value, feel like she was not enough. This damage in the mind can take months or even years to heal. And the man who caused all this often still has the nerve to ask for forgiveness, as if it were just any mistake, something to be erased overnight. But that is not how life works. Forgiveness cannot be treated as a gift for someone who has broken the most sacred trust of all. When a person cheats, they show that they do not respect their word, that they do not honor their promise, that they do not value loyalty. And without these bases, no relationship is healthy. In this video, I will show you why forgiveness, in cases of betrayal, is often more like punishment for the victim than a solution for the couple. You will understand the root in the mind of the behavior of men who cheat, what is really behind this act, and why 99% of them do not deserve the second chance they so strongly ask for. Get ready. What you are about to hear may hurt, but it will open your eyes. To understand why 99% of men who cheat do not deserve forgiveness, we need to dive into how this behavior usually begins and repeats. Betrayal rarely happens alone. In most cases, it is part of a chain of choices, a way of thinking that shows much more about the man's character than about any fault of his partner. Think of a man unhappy with himself. Instead of working on his own life, improving his insecurities, investing in growth, he looks for a quick escape. And what is the fastest way? Seeking approval from another woman. This happens because, for many men, cheating is less about desire of the body and more about inflating their ego. They want to prove that they are still attractive and that they can still win someone over. It is a way to avoid facing their own fears of aging, of losing value, of no longer being seen. I will give you an example that may seem very common, but that hides deep truths. Imagine a man who has been married for 10 years. He has children, a stable life, a loyal partner who takes care of the home and supports his dreams. But instead of valuing this, he starts to miss the excitement of conquest. So, on social media, he begins exchanging messages with a coworker. At first, it looks harmless. Some jokes, small talk about the day. But little by little, the conversation becomes more personal. He deletes the messages, invents excuses to leave the house, and suddenly he crosses the line of loyalty. Now think with me. Does this man who planned every message, who invented every excuse, who had plenty of time to think about the consequences, really deserve to be forgiven? Or has he already made it clear that he does not respect his own family? And this story repeats itself in thousands of homes. What we see is that many men confuse chance with reason. They say things like, "It happened because I was lonely. She gave me the attention I didn't get at home. It was only once, it means nothing." But these sentences are just masks. The truth is that, deep down, he chose to cheat because he wanted to, because it was easier to give in than to resist. Another key point is that when a man betrays, he does not only betray his partner, He breaks the trust of his children, the respect of his friends, and his own dignity. He shows that he cannot be loyal even in the most private place of life, the relationship. And if someone cannot be loyal at home, it is very unlikely that he will be loyal in other parts of life. And then comes the pattern of repeating the same mistake. Research and the experience of couples therapists show that a man who cheats once has a very high chance of cheating again. Why? Because the real problem is not the situation, but the way of thinking. If he has not learned to deal with problems, if he does not understand the weight of his own actions, he will look for the same escape again. It is like an addiction. While the root of the behavior does not change, the cycle will repeat. And do you know what hurts the most? Many women, when they discover infidelity, believe they can save the relationship by giving another chance. They accept the crying, the excuses, the promises, but over time they realize that forgiveness did not erase the scars. The mistrust comes back, the fear grows, and the man often makes the same mistake again. This turns her life into a prison of feelings, where every delay, every erased message, every detail becomes a reason for doubt. And I want you to think carefully. Forgiveness should not be a prize for those who broke the most sacred trust. Because when we forgive without real change, we end up keeping the cycle alive. The man learns that he can betray, say sorry, and continue as if nothing happened. And that is unfair. Unfair to the woman, unfair to the family, unfair to the very idea of commitment. The truth is that if 99% of men who cheat should not be forgiven, it is because almost none of them are willing to really change. Most just want to escape the consequences. They just want their partner to forget, so they can continue with comfort. But forgetting is not the same as forgiving, and forgiving is not the same as changing. In the next minutes, you will see with me why the impact of betrayal goes far beyond a simple mistake, and you will understand how it destroys not only the relationship, but also the identity of the person who was betrayed. When we say that 99% of men who cheat should not be forgiven, we are not just being hard out of pride or anger. We are talking about something much deeper, the psychology behind the act of betrayal, and the effect it leaves on those who are victims of it. Betrayal is not an isolated fact. It is the mirror of inner patterns, emotional immaturity, and flaws in character that cannot be ignored. To begin with, we need to understand one essential truth. Human beings look for safety and stability in relationships. When two people unite, what sustains that bond is not only affection, but trust. Trust is like the foundation of a house. Without it, everything else falls apart. When a man cheats, he breaks that base. It is as if he destroyed the foundation of a house and then asked his partner to keep living there as if nothing happened. From a psychological view, betrayal causes real trauma. A woman who discovers that she has been betrayed enters a state of emotional shock. Her mind, which until then linked her partner to safety and protection, now connects him with pain, lies, and threats. This triggers stress reactions similar to those of someone who went through an accident or a big loss. The body releases defense hormones, like cortisol, and the brain enters a state of constant alert. This explains why many betrayed women begin to suffer from anxiety, sleepless nights, crying spells, and even physical symptoms like headaches, heart racing, and loss of energy. And what makes this trauma even crueler is the doubt it plants. After betrayal, women don't just question the man, they question themselves. Was I not enough? Did I do something wrong? Is another woman better than me? This constant questioning weakens self-esteem, reduces confidence, and can even lead to sadness and depression. All of this comes from a selfish decision by a man who often just wanted to feed his own ego for a few minutes. Now let's look at the man who cheats. From the mind's point of view, betrayal can be explained by three main pillars: emotional immaturity, need for approval, and not knowing how to handle frustration. The first pillar, emotional immaturity, is the most obvious. A mature man understands that every relationship has highs and lows. There are phases of great passion, but also moments of routine. Immaturity makes him run from routine as if it were unbearable, without seeing that it is in routine that real closeness is built. Instead of working to keep desire alive inside the relationship, he prefers to look outside for what he cannot build inside. The second pillar is the need for approval. Many men grow up believing that their value depends on how many women they can attract. This harmful belief follows them into adult life. So even when married, even when committed, they still feel the need to prove to themselves that they can still win someone over. A cheating, for them, becomes a mental trophy, a way to feel stronger, more wanted, more alive. But deep inside, all of this shows insecurity, not strength. The third pillar is the inability to deal with frustration. Every relationship has problems: lack of time, differences in opinion, family duties. A mature man faces these difficulties directly, talks, and looks for solutions. The man who betrays, on the other hand, uses infidelity as an escape. He does not solve the problems. He only covers them with short pleasure. But like all short pleasures, the effect ends fast, and the emptiness comes back even stronger. And here is the main point. Forgiving a man who betrays without him facing these mental roots is like painting over a wall full of mold. The problem stays there, hidden, growing in silence, until one day it comes back with even more force. That is why forgiveness, in these cases, is often unfair to the victim. Because while she carries the weight of pain, doubt, and fear, he continues to believe that all he needs to do is say sorry for everything to go back to normal. And it does not. Nothing goes back to what it was before. Broken trust is like a mirror in pieces. You can try to glue the parts together, but the cracks will always be there. Another important psychological point is the repetition of behavior. The human brain works with rewards. If a man cheats, is caught, says sorry, and is still forgiven, the brain records that the result was not so serious. He may even feel guilt at the time, but when he sees that, in the end, everything is fine, he tends to repeat the mistake. This is not just theory, it is science applied to human behavior. Meanwhile, the woman who forgave lives in a state of constant alert. Every time the phone rings, every time he is late, every time he quickly closes the phone screen, she feels the same pain again. And living in this constant mistrust is destructive. It is like carrying an open wound that never closes. So when we say that 99% of men who betray should not be forgiven, it is not because we do not believe in change. It is because real change demands effort, therapy, self-knowledge, and time. And most men are not willing to go through this. They want the quick relief of forgiveness, but they do not want the responsibility of real transformation. And here is the harsh reality. Forgiving in these cases is not a sign of love. It is a sign of ignoring your own emotional health. Because those who truly love do not destroy the trust of others, and those who truly respect themselves do not stay with someone who has already shown that he does not value loyalty. By now you understand that betrayal is not an accident, but a choice made on purpose. Now we need to talk about something even more serious. The effects of forgiving a man who has betrayed without true change. This is where the danger lies. Because forgiveness, when given too fast, becomes a weapon against the one who was betrayed. The first effect is repetition. As we have already seen, the human brain works with rewards. If a man cheats, is caught, says sorry, and is still forgiven, the message he keeps inside is simple: I can make mistakes, and she will still be here. This thought, even if hidden, keeps the cycle alive. He may even promise never to do it again, but in practice the chance of repeating is very high. That is why so many women end up living in a never-ending loop of betrayal and forgiveness. The second effect is the loss of the woman's self-esteem. When someone accepts to stay with a person who disrespected them in this way, they start to believe they do not deserve better. With each new pain, the feeling of weakness grows. She looks in the mirror, and instead of seeing a strong person, she sees someone who puts up with anything not to lose her partner. This way of thinking is devastating because it opens the door to more and more abusive relationships. And here comes a third effect: the loss of identity. Women who forgive betrayal often start to live only around the fear of being betrayed again. They change the way they dress, control their own actions, and avoid arguments to prevent fights. Little by little, they stop being who they were and become insecure, submissive, and full of fear. This takes away not only their joy, but also the strength they once had. There is also the social and family impact. Think about a family with children. When betrayal happens, even if the parents try to hide it, the children notice. They feel the heavy air, the silent arguments, the looks full of doubt. Growing up in this kind of environment leaves marks. Children who see this may grow up thinking betrayal is normal, or worse, that accepting betrayal is part of life. In other words, the cycle of pain repeats through generations. And we cannot forget about physical health. It may sound like an exaggeration, but it is not. Living in constant stress, suspicion, and insecurity can cause real illnesses. Chronic anxiety, sleepless nights, migraines, stomach problems, sadness. These are all direct results of staying with someone who has already shown that he cannot be trusted. In other words, misplaced forgiveness harms not only the heart, but also the body. Now let's talk about the practical side. The longer a woman stays in a relationship with a man who has already betrayed her, the harder it is to leave later. Emotional dependence grows. Financial dependence often increases, and the courage to start over seems to disappear. The man notices this, and, on purpose or not, feels more and more in control. This is when many go from being simple cheaters to becoming real manipulators. And here is the big warning. Forgiving a man who does not deserve it is not a sign of love, it is a sign of danger, because that forgiveness turns into permission. It is as if the woman were saying without words, "I accept being disrespected." And when this message is given, the relationship becomes a field of mines, ready to explode at any time. Maybe you have heard stories of women who gave a second, third, or even fourth chance. And in almost all of these cases, the ending is the same. More pain, more lies, more destruction. This happens because, without real change, there is no reason to expect a different result. The urgency lies in noticing this as soon as possible. Every day lived in a relationship based on disloyalty is one less day of full life, peace, and dignity. And I want you to think with me. How much is your peace of mind worth? How much is your mental health worth? How much is your dignity worth? No relationship should cost so much. When you stay with someone who has already shown that he does not value your loyalty, you are paying a very high price to hold on to something that, in truth, is already broken. That is why it is urgent to stop romanticizing forgiveness in cases of betrayal. Yes, forgiveness is noble when there is true regret, real change, and effort. But in 99% of cases, forgiveness is only a way to prolong pain. It is like keeping a wound open and refusing to treat it, hoping it will heal by itself. It does not heal. It just gets worse, and the pain only grows. The urgency, therefore, is not to forgive quickly. The urgency is to protect yourself. It is to set clear limits. It is to understand that those who betrayed you must face the consequences and not hide behind the tears of an apology. Only then can the cycle be broken. Only then can the pain stop repeating itself. We have reached the end of this reflection, and now you know why 99% of men who betray should not be forgiven. Not because forgiveness itself is bad. On the contrary, forgiveness can set you free. But because in this case forgiveness often becomes a prison for the one who was betrayed. What we saw is clear. Betrayal is not a mistake by chance. It is a choice made on purpose. It comes from immaturity, the need for approval, and the inability to deal with frustration. And in most cases, it is not an isolated act but part of a pattern. Forgiving without asking for real change is like feeding that pattern, giving the unfaithful man the key to repeat the same error. We also saw the destructive effects of forgiving without rules. The woman's self-esteem is broken, her confidence is destroyed, her identity is slowly lost. The family environment becomes heavy, and even physical health suffers the weight of stress and fear. And the worst of all, children, when they exist, grow up in an environment that normalizes betrayal. This shows that misplaced forgiveness not only hurts the victim directly, but spreads like a wave that touches everyone around. That is why the central message of this video is simple and clear. Those who truly value you will not betray you. Those who respect their promise will not break the trust that is the base of everything. And if someone has already destroyed that trust once, the chances of them doing it again are huge, unless there is a real, deep, and constant effort to change. Forgiving may look easier in the short term because it avoids fights, avoids separations, and creates the illusion that everything is fine. But in the long term, staying with someone who has not been loyal costs a very high price. It costs sleepless nights, it costs hidden tears, it costs the feeling of living in constant alert. This price is too high to pay in the name of a love that in truth has already been broken. The truth is that real forgiveness should only exist when there is true regret. And true regret is not only crying, saying sorry, and promising. It is acting. It is seeking help, taking responsibility for the results, and showing in practice that loyalty has become a priority. But as we said from the start, in 99% of cases, this does not happen. What happens is only the desire to erase the consequences and continue as if nothing had happened. Therefore, the decision not to forgive in these cases is not a sign of weakness or bitterness. It is a sign of strength, of taking care of yourself, and of self-respect. Because life is too short to waste on relationships that take more than they give, that hurt more than they heal, that destroy more than they build. And here is one last thought. If you have been betrayed, remember that this does not define who you are. The mistake is not yours. The mistake is from those who did not know how to honor the trust they received. And the best answer you can give to this mistake is not to insist on a broken relationship, but to choose yourself. Choose your peace, your dignity, your freedom. Never forget, true love does not need excuses after betrayal, because true love does not betray.